Hello there. I'm Sally Campbell. Today, I have Seaplane and will travel. Follow me. As I said before, we really do have a seaplane here today, and we might travel. Also, as our pilot, we have a very famous lady, Miss Helen Harrison.
Well, thank you very much, Sally. That's very nice of you. Now we'll definitely have to see that you go for a ride in a seaplane today.
I've heard that you're a member of the famous Quarter Century Club. Well, what do you do to become a member?
Well, it's quite simple, Sally. All we have to do is to have been actively in aviation for the past 25 years.
Well, are there many women members in the club?
No, as a matter of fact, there are only 2 of us, and I was fortunate enough that I was the first lady to be introduced, therefore I was made an honorary member of the club.
As a woman, did you fly in the Air Force during the war?
No, Sally, I wasn't actually flying with the Air Force, but I was fortunate. I was overseas for 2 years with Air Transport Auxiliary, which was ferrying aircraft. That was for the Royal Air Force. And it was very interesting work because we had a variety of aircraft that we did ferry. For instance, we would ferry a light trainer and then hop into a Spitfire. And maybe from there, we'd go from a heavy bomber and back into a mosquito bomber. So it was lots of fun. We never got very polished in one type, but we certainly got variety.
Does flying a seaplane require any kind of special training?
Yes, Sally. Since I've been with the Aero Club of BC, I've specialized in seaplane flying.
Well, what's the difference between flying a land plane and a seaplane?
Well, the main difference is your landing area. You take wheels or land planes, you're always coming into an airport that you know where your runways are and where your landing surface is. Your obstructions are all marked. But you come onto the water, your landing surface is continuously changing. For instance, you have rough water sometimes, and other times you have smooth or glassy water. And then again, you have obstructions that aren't marked, for instance, driftwood or deadheads, things like that you've got to be continuously out on the lookout for. For all these different water conditions, then you have to have different procedures to handle them.
If I wanted to learn to fly a seaplane, what would I have to know first?
Well, normally the first thing we do when we go to get into an airplane is to do what we call an outside inspection. And that is a little different on seaplanes than it is on wheels. However, let's go over to the seaplanes. Sal, I might as well just tell you a little bit about the control surfaces here as you're going to go for a ride in the airplane. This is our elevator here, and that gives us our fore and aft control. I'll tell you more about that when we get up into the air. This is our tailplane here, and then we have our fin and our rudder. Now, we want to inspect these carefully because for any damage. Somebody might have drifted back into something and have been unaware of any damage that had been caused. So we check that and make sure that there's no buckling in it. I'll come up here along the fuselage of the aircraft. It's the main body there, and down onto our floats. Sometimes we get buckling in the fuselage. Somebody might have done a heavy landing, and that's where it shows along there first. Now, if you look at the floats here, you'll see that they're fairly level in the water, which means they should be free of the water. On the other hand, if one float was right down like this in the water, you'd be very suspicious of a lot of water there, which cuts down the performance considerably of the airplane. So we have to undo these little caps here and get our pump out and pump the water out. Now, this wire here is connected to our water rudder here. It's dropped by gravity. We want to always make sure that our water rudders are down in the water before we cast off from the dock, because that gives us our steerability. If we haven't got those down, well, we can't steer the airplane. Now here is another control surface. This is our aileron here. And that gives us our lateral control when we're in the air. Again, we'll show you that. This surface here next to it is our flaps. And we put those, usually to use those for taking off and landing. Yeah, very similar to an air brake. You put the brakes on the car. It slows you down a little bit. Now we'll go up to the other end of the float here. And here, Sally, this is our wing strut. We inspect that. And this surface along here is called the leading edge of our wing. This little gadget here is our pitot head. That gives us our indicated airspeed. We have another instrument in the cockpit, which I'll show you later on. This little wee gadget here is a stall warning. I'll show you that too when we get up into the air. Now, then this is the Ventura tube. That's for our gyroscopic instruments. And down here we have our spreader bars that are across between the floats. And our struts, we just look at those and make sure they're all in order. I'm going to come up and look at the floats here. You'll see on the side here, we got to watch out because the vulnerable part of our floats is right at the side of the bows of the floats. We have to be very careful that that doesn't come head into the dock, because we quickly do damage and then we're going to have leaky floats again. So much for the outside inspection. I think the best thing we can do now is to just come on, we'll get aboard and take a ride up into the air. Okay, Sally, now you just wait there a minute. We got something else here. Oh, these are life jackets, and they're quite important in seaplane flying, training. You hold on to that and I'll show you how to put them on. Just put it on like a vest here. Lay the collar flat, lapels flat, and do up the tapes here. Now these are reversible, so it doesn't matter which way you put them on as long as you see it's got top in 3 languages here. So we'll put yours on. That's right, tie up these tapes here. Now underneath here we have a bottle. All you have to do is to pull that, and that inflates it. That's if you fall into the water when we're getting into it. There's another one here. We don't hope we don't get you wet. Now you just wait there a minute. Now get up here like this. Now just okay, Sally, now we'll just do up your seat belt here. This loop, part of the belt loops through there. Pull it tight, release that, and that locks it. So if you want to undo it, all you have to do is to do that, and it pulls right loose. Now we'll just check the controls to see that they're working in the correct direction, and also that they're working smoothly. I have to open the door because the elevator and rudder control is in the after end of the aircraft. There you are, there's our rudder. Now, our ailerons, they're okay. And now we look at our switches here. The master switch is on. Radio we don't need on yet, so we see now. All we gotta do now is to get the airplane started. If we check our gas on, master switch on. There we are. Now she's going. Now we'll have to taxi out now. I gotta get clearance from the tower to taxi on the water. Vancouver Tower, IDL, clear for takeoff west to east on the river, over.
IDL, Vancouver Tower, clear for takeoff west to east on the river.
IDL. By the way, Sally, IDL, that stands for the registration letters of our aircraft. Okay, now that we have to get our start turning around here, make sure our takeoff runs clear. Our water rudder is up in the up position, and we're going to open up the throttle wide open, get full power for takeoff. Now you notice the nose is coming up, And here we are over onto the step. Sally, we're flying the aircraft in straight and level attitude now. So I'll just show you the effect, or primary effect of all three controls, but just used individually. So we'll take the elevators first of all. If you watch the nose of the aircraft in relation to the horizon there, now watch as we ease the control column gently forward. Now you'll notice that the nose of the aircraft is going down below the horizon. Now we ease the control column gently back. Now you see the nose of the aircraft is coming up towards the horizon and above it. Now then we'll take the aileron control. We ease the control column over to the left, and now you'll see that the left wing is going down. And look out to the other side here, we ease it over to the right, and the right wing is going down. Vancouver Tower, IDL, clear to land west to east on the river, over.
IDL, Vancouver Tower, clear to land west to east, river 140 at 10.
IDL.